Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor and welcome back to another deck review episode where last game we played out Boltsauce's deck, didn't really get to use all the units, but we did get to play a nice game and get a general feel on how the deck worked, and it was definitely a pretty good deck. Though there were some units I liked, some units I didn't like, and I do have a different playstyle than Bolt, but everyone has a different playstyle from everyone else. And so, as we continue on this segment, we are actually going to change up this deck a little bit. We're going to modify it from the original Boltsauce deck to add a little bit of, I guess, Silverraptor flair and his style to the deck because this is all perfectly all right. If yeah, any of you players, new players or old, wanted to copy a deck code and play the deck, it's not Sancto Saint. It's not like you can. It's so sacred and holy that you can't modify it or any way, and you have to bow down to its superiority. No, 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 no. Decks are free and able to be modified based on how you see fit. If you see a better troop than the person saw, or you don't like a troop they use, that's perfectly all right. Just go back in and just edit it, and then it actually is your deck now, if you think of it that way, because you've put your hand into it. Well, without further ado, we're going to go back into this deck, this Dutch-German mechanized deck, and we are going to go and modify a few troops because I do see a few things that I would like to change to my liking. First, we're going to go to the logistics. Now, the logistics is mostly all right. Fob and Caddy. I'm still probably going to use these helicopters because they are still pretty good. The thing is I want to double check on is the CV. Now, this is still pretty good. It's relatively fast and amphibious, but one unit I want to compare it to is this Netherlands APC. And this Netherlands APC does have one less side armor, but for 5 points less than the actual troop that Boltsauce has in his, it's got 5 kilometers per hour faster on water. It's 5 kilometers faster off road, which is important for APC, for CVs in particular. It's got 70 kilometers more autonomy, so it can go farther than the other one. And it has a Browning machine gun. Now, this Browning machine gun can be a double-edged sword because even though it has a little bit of stunning protection, because it won't actually outright kill very much stuff, it does also reveal where it might be, so you kind of need to be aware of like turning off the Browning machine gun, but that's not too big of an issue. But this is all you get, basically the very similar package with a slightly better like maneuverability. Yes, you have a little less side armor, so artillery can be a little bit of a problem, but overall, I think I'm going to swap out his CV with the Netherlands APC right here. And the best part about this is that uh, when you do this look over units, you guys probably saw in the gameplays that I kept my unit vehicle tab open on the left. A lot of YouTubers I noticed closed that because it restricts their vision. But I like that up, that little video up, because when you mouse over a unit that you can't quite see, and what I mean is that it shows those dashed lines across the name tag and you don't know quite what it is. A lot of YouTubers have to quickly zoom in before they lose sight of it and try to see the general shape as it's on the move. But when I move my mouse over it, even though it's just a black silhouette, just instantly pops up on that view, I'm able to determine, okay, that looks like a CV, or that looks like an anti-tank vehicle, or that airplane looks like it has bombs on the bottom side of it, because believe it or not, bombs actually show up on the silhouette of some of these planes and vehicles. So I like to use that quickly just to mouse over so I don't have to zoom in and just a quick recon. And enough about that. This unit looks a lot like other APCs that bring infantry in. So some players who leave that open or see it briefly and try to zoom in, they might think of it as, oh, it's another one of those 5-point APCs, nothing to get particularly excited with. No need to call artillery on that piece when it's actually, in fact, a CV, if it's just the silhouetted sighting. So, so the reason why I say that is because there is no APC that looks like this. I mean, it has a general shape, but the moment you see that air conditioning unit right here in the front, I'm assuming it's an air conditioning unit. Either that or it's a bad speaker. But all CVs with this body that have an air conditioning unit in front, that's a CV. No doubt about it. Every time. So call artillery when you see this silhouette. So yeah, I'm going to be switching that out. That was a lot more long-winded than I expected. Next up is the infantry. Now, I actually looked through the infantry just a little bit, and I think I found out why he went with the grenadiers over the Jaegers. If I quickly go find the Jaegers and put them up. So even though the Jaegers have a better light machine gun and they've got longer range RPG and more accurate RPG, they have 10 rounds per minute, whereas the Grenadiers have 20 rounds per minute. Now, what that means is that the Grenadiers can fire these laws once every 30 seconds, whereas the Jaegers will have to do once every 6 seconds. And that's better for forest fighting, is to just get as many RPGs out as possible, especially since laws can kill most APCs at the Red Forest Sports, barring actual tanks. So I can see why he chose this. He's basically going to be marching the Grenadiers through forests, killing APCs as quickly as possible when there are in mass. The thing is, I still think I am going to swap out the Grenadiers for the Jaegers. And this is my thought process and reasoning behind this, is because while, yes, the law does fire faster, he does have Stormtrooper 95s, which do have the 20 rounds per minute, and they also have the 19 AP power as well, and the better range. So what I'm thinking of doing is that I said in the last deck review video that the Stormtroopers look more like an assault infantry, a storming infantry, charging straight into trying to take like towns and such. So my plan is that I'm going to put a bunch of these Jaegers in the back because they've got this nice MG3, and the moment the Stormtroopers start moving forward, these Jaegers can provide covering, suppression fire with all the other martyrs and everything. And the AP is better than the Grenadiers, and that can help take out possibly tanks or BMPTs, because BMPTs are somewhat commonly used in forest infantry fighting. So I will swap out the Grenadiers for the Jaegers. And I probably, hang on, I just want to do one quick check. If I recall, it was 18. Uh, where are they? Ah, here. 18 Grenadiers. They came in at Harden in these vehicle. And the Jaegers, I could bring in the M113s, and Harden, I could bring in 22 of them. So we're actually gaining a few infantry. Yes, they're a little bit 5 more points expensive, but I still like Jaegers better. So the Falschmann Jaeger 90s and the Falschmann Jaegers. The Falschmann Jaegers did pretty good. I'm not sure if we quite need this many different Falschmann Jaegers. Um, I'll leave them in for now. I might come back and edit it just a bit more because that's the thing. You always come back to editing decks. I know I keep revisiting every one of my decks and tweak it and change it, and depending upon the mood, the feel, or whether or not an update came in and you can change everything again. So I will leave this for now. I may revisit this in a future video, but for now we'll leave the two Falschmann Jaegers. We've got the Panzer Grenadier 90s and the regular Panzer Grenadier 90s. That's good. I will leave them there. And the last thing for this infantry is the genies. Now, the thing is about the genies is that they're no different than any other napalm infantry. And the napalm infantry really are there to stun up infantry, especially elite trained infantry. And problem with that logic with these guys in this deck is that since we put in the Jaegers and we've got Stormtrooper and Panzer Grenadiers with Martyr 1s and Martyr 2s, there is already a lot of suppression already in this deck, and the Genies just limits to elite trained infantry when the Jaegers are pretty much a good match against those same elite trained infantry. I don't see them as too much contribution to this deck. So we will be removing them, but staying with the theme of Boltsauce's deck, I will be replacing them with actually a fire support type of infantry. So some fire support we can consider. We can get Deccan's Gruppe, which I've actually quite like. They've got a pretty decent rate of fire, 15 rounds per minute. That's kind of cross between the Jaegers and the Grenadiers. They've got 70% accuracy, AP power, and HE power, so they can shoot at infantry and vehicles. So we can move these up, basically make them take the place of the genies, even though they're only 5-man squads. They still can pack quite a punch. Does this deck have? Oh yeah, another thing we can consider is the Vulpurg 95s. I do apologize that I might be butchering a lot of these names. The reason why is that this is an ATGM similar to the Milan 2. Uh, Almost as much accuracy as the Milan 2, probably a little bit more. But this also has HE power 2, so it is a long-range infantry missile designed to target other infantry as well as APCs. And I might give this a shot. We can always try both. But yeah, I'm going to go and put the Würzburg 95s into this in replacement of the genies. So therefore, we have our fire support that can help out shooting at infantry, as provide extra suppression with the Jaegers and the Stato troop when the Stato troop in 95 move forward and everything. So yeah, we'll try this combination. I like to organize my units a specific way. I usually like to try to do commandos, uh, regular troops, fire support, and then anti-air and anti-tank. This is a little less of an order issue, but I like to group it so I know where troops are when I try to bring them in at the start. All right, for support, I don't think there was much that we have to do. The only thing I might change would have been this artillery piece. But looking around, there's not a whole lot of any artillery pieces that I would swap it out with. If I would change anything, I probably would just change the cheetah to the Black Panther to the cheetah version because it's got a nice chaos logo written on the right side of it, not the German insignia, because I mean they're essentially the same unit. Uh, yeah, we're going to do that because I mean he's got 4 German and 1 Netherlands unit. We're going to switch that out for a better Netherlands ratio. All right. Oh shoot, I don't remember. Was this 9 or 7? I really should have looked at that before. I think it was 7. Right, there it is. All right. And then we're going to put this in. I like to always make my deck pretty. There we go. Now it's organized into anti-air missiles, to anti-air gun, to mortar, and then artillery. So now tanks, yes, we're going to leave the tanks basically alone. The Kyler is pretty good with the autocannon and the main gun. The Leopard 2A1 is definitely what we need for the main firepower, and we've got so much fire support with the infantry and the martyrs. And something that I'm going to do and modify in the future, we're going to stick with the Leopard 2A1. Uh, eh, hmm. I'm trying to decide here. Uh, you know what? Let's just do this. Just because. We're going to put the Leopard 2A1 and L. I mean, yes, it's got a slightly worse light machine gun on the top of it, but you don't get tanks for light machine guns, and it's just funny. It's the same tank essentially, and it's going to work for us. So we're just going to do that just for funsies. Uh, the infantry, this was, I, I think it was pretty fine. This is essentially worse infantry, so I don't want to use them. We're definitely keeping the leopards. The looks might be an interesting one, but we've got the leopard for that. Yeah, I think we're going to stick with that. Helicopter recon, pretty useful. I mean, you can't really send it into anti-air areas, but you can definitely use it to cover flanks, make sure they're not sneaking up on you. Now the vehicle tab. Now this thing I want to switch out a little bit. And we're first going to start with these Pratts. Now, I do like the Pratts. They are pretty decent. My biggest beef with them is that they they can only get one missile off before a charging tank gets in range. And typically, if that tank happens to be a BU or a UM or a ZTZ3, um, they're going to survive that first missile, and then they're going to lock on and target this Pratt. And the problem is that this Pratt is a whopping 60 points. So I'm actually going to swap him out, but I'm going to swap him out with the Laro To 2. Now, the reason why is that uh, the Laro To 2, it has the To 2 missile. Yes, it has a few less missiles than the Pratt here. We're going to compare the two. But it's got the same missile. The Pratt does have twice the amount, but and is amphibious and a little armored, so it can survive artillery and such. But the thing is, the Laro To 2 is fast, and that's the key thing because, like I said, To 2 missiles. If a charging tank is coming straight at you and they fire the To 2 missile, they've given away their position, and the tank is going to target them after that missile runs its course. So the To 2 missile on vehicles is kind of like a hit and run vehicle. They have to get off their missile, and the moment that missile either hits or misses, you've got to back them up and get them the hell out of there. Unless, of course, you're able to park them into a place that just snipe enemy vehicles. But I mean, any competent player will realize their vehicles are under attack. So I'm getting the Laro To 2 because it is 15 points cheaper. You can bring these in a lot more readily, and they still do their job. They've got the same AP power and accuracy, and you can get them the hell out of dodge. They aren't amphibious, but that's less of an issue given the fact this is a mechanized deck. A lot of our things aren't amphibious. So the Martyr 2 is not amphibious. The Martyr 1 is not amphibious. Okay, this is amphibious. Okay, okay, half the Sinks is not amphibious in terms of vehicle, but the most important infantry vehicles are not amphibious. So we're going to put the Laro To 2s here just so that we can have a good first To 2 line of defense. Then we have to back them up and get them to a better position to try to snipe out. But they can definitely stay ahead of tanks that are charging off-road and on-road, actually. And now, secondly, these Cano Ninjago Panzers. Now, the great Boltsauce has spoken about these. He told me his reasoning behind this, and the reason why is that the HE power of 3, whenever these guys hit, those infantry in the towns always take 2 damage out of the squad, and that is pretty useful. The thing is that I still think that if the infantry is stunned, that the 2 HE would still, the 2 damage would still cancel out to the fact that your infantry will wreck the infantry apart, and the other fire support, like the Blueberg 90s and everything. So he did say that it's also funny to see enemies take an extraordinary amount of effort to take out these Cannon Ninjago Panzers, which are pretty poor vehicles, but I could definitely see someone flying Apaches or Cobras over, and then he just turns on his flak Panzers and just rips them apart, and that does make me laugh a little bit. But I am going to swap this out because we do have quite a bit of fire support, I feel, for this deck, and we definitely just need more power on killing tanks to make up for the deficit that's a mechanized deck. So I'm going to delete it, but I'm going to replace it with the Martyr VTS1. And the reason why, if we compare these two, is the fact that this is heat round. It has 8 AP power. It's not designed to kill any APCs. But this is kinetic, and with a 15 AP power. Now, the 15 AP power, I think, for this price range is the highest AP power gun you can get in the game at 25 points. So that alone is pretty dang good. It's got more autonomy and same speed, but that's less of an issue. It's definitely got more armor, so it can survive artillery shots better. And it's more accurate. Yes, it has a slower rate of fire, but given that it has such high AP power, it can take out the vehicles and even tanks at close range, if you can think about it. Move this up with infantry to give them even more supporting fire. I think I am going to favor the Martyr VTSIs this time. The thing is, do we want veteran or hardened? Well, let's just get hardened because I think he had, yeah, I think he had 22. So we're just going to stick with the hardened vehicles, and I think this would be a pretty good addition. This alongside martyrs would definitely be a very scary combination, especially with infantry up ahead. Helicopter tab, we are not changing it. This helicopter is beast. Airplane tab, I didn't see anything really wrong with this airplane tab. So we're probably going to keep it the same way. Only thing I might do differently is probably just take out this napalm plane and replace it with another ECR. But this is fine entirely. I'm just going to quickly go over the vehicle tab again, make sure I didn't lose anything. If I was to replace something, these Flak Panzer I might put in. I love these little trucks. They're so funny. Able to just kill infantry entirely and can threaten helicopters at close range. And they're pretty cheap. They're basically what I call the missile absorbers. You just send these up with the 5-point trucks of death, and they just expend all of their expensive missiles killing these things, and then they've got nothing left over for the vehicles, martyrs, and tanks in the back. So, but I think, yeah, I'm going to keep this deck the way it is. This is going to be my new deck that I'm going to be trying out. I shall be playing this in the next video, a live gameplay of this deck, and see how it goes from there. So thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you understand my reasoning and fooling around a little bit in some of the cases. But I do hope that you all learned something from this and you enjoyed this video. So please do like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video where we play this deck out live again and see how it performs. So thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next one.